Hello friends, have a good time. We are at your service with Shabnameh. I think that's enough. Over the past few days, strange news of changes and transformations in the structure of America, in the part that is supposed to be in front of Iran, has surprised many. First, they had a position. During these years, Robert Malley defined a roadmap against Iran, but now they abandoned it. Some say, he has changed his roadmap in front of Iran, and these events show this. Later, news was published in the American media, and this was completely questioned. They said, "No, sir. It had cooperation with Iran, so it was left out." Then, other news has been published. They said, he had a meeting with 1 or 2 Iranian university professors, and they made him quit. Which is right, what happened? I will talk about this topic in detail. The main topic of our program today is a story beyond this. In America, they found out that one of the prominent officials of an American think tank has been doing several things over the years. 1. For Russia, he sells weapons. 2. He cooperated with China. 3. He sells Iranian oil. Sir, how is such a thing possible? Didn't you start a think tank to help you advance your goals? Isn't part of their game anti-Iranian? Is it not anti-Chinese? Is it not anti-Russian? So he was helping all of this. Yes, this is exactly the story. Pay attention to this point. How is it possible that you started all these anti-Iranian sections? You are going to come there with the help of those who are inside it. Some of them are anti-Iranian, some of them are Iranians who left their compatriots aside. With the help of all these, you play against Iran, but you don't get the result. But the goals are not achieved. But these ideas are wrong. The matter is simple. A person who betrayed his country may betray again. How much did they buy him? How much money did he get to kick his homeland and come to your think tank? He might take a little more and do something for China. Get a little more, do something for Iran. Get a little more, in the game that is defined, make a proposal this proposal will spoil the ideas of America. 100%, 100%. The most wrong thing in the world is investing in these traitors to the homeland. What the Americans did to Iran, the goals, if you look carefully, are never achieved. Let's check together. The U.S. Federal Prosecutor's Office has announced that it has accused the head of a think tank in this country of being an agent for the Chinese government, and a broker for the sale of weapons, as well as the sale of Iranian oil. According to a Reuters report, Gal Aloft, an American citizen with dual citizenship, it is accused of hiring and paying a former high-ranking official with dual U.S. citizenship to act as a foreign agent in 2016 on behalf of executives based in China. Let me tell you an interesting thing. The same person who has been accused of collaborating with China and selling Iranian oil. A video file of 14 minutes has been published. In that 14 minutes, he says, "All these things they are saying about me, this is about the Biden family. Then, I wanted to come and say these things about them, that they went and cooperated with China, etc. And then, let me explain that I had become sensitive to these since 2019. They put the same thing on my neck, they arrested me." Sir, which one is right? It has been working with China. Is he selling Iran's oil? Or they were doing this, and this one wanted to expose them. Regardless of which one is true, there is a very important issue regarding people who are accused of collaborating with Iran and other countries in America and the Zionist regime. And that is that, after becoming sensitive to these, the game is not over. That is, it was not the way to say, he was a spy, he was working for Iran, he was working for so-and-so, we caught him. Now, it's game time. Accusing each other has just started. In the Zionist regime, if you remember, the same thing happened. Having taken 1 or 2 of these, they started talking against the others. And the most terrible thing that the intelligence services, the counter-resistance, during the last years, faced, and struggled with, was exactly that. These have elements. These elements were supposed to be concentrated in Iran, but now they got into trouble with these elements, while, after becoming sensitive to these, the furnace of accusing each other has just heated up, and their differences have increased. That is, the problem that has not been solved, that nothing, now it's even more complicated, it's a game. Let's go check the rest of it together. The American prosecutor has emphasized that this person was an advisor to the President of the United States during the time of the former President of the United States, Donald Trump. Then he said, they arrested him last February in Cyprus. Released on bail, and finally escaped. Now America is looking for that person, and it is not yet clear where this person is. Several very specific issues have been raised about this person. This 57-year-old person we are talking about. He is considered one of the high-ranking officials in the global security analysis think tank, which is present in Washington, who worked on energy, security, and economic trends. Where is the interesting point? He says, during the recent years, this person is among those who, for weapons factories, for groups like this, in the form of a broker, he mediated to Libya, the UAE, Kenya, and the like, and he sells weapons. Sir, is a president of an American think tank. It should help them to know how to make a decision in a certain country. After this, all the decisions he made were warlike. Why? Because his hand was in the same bowl with those who sold weapons. Finally, about this person, at the end of the report, it is mentioned that he arranged a meeting between Iranian officials and a Chinese energy company to discuss the sale of oil, despite the U.S. sanctions against Iran. Sir, did you get the point? Let's go a step higher. He says that this was a manager in a think tank, and that to a high-ranking manager. For years, America has given money to that think tank, so that this think tank can go and do studies in the field of energy, security, and economic trends. What was part of its story? What should I do so that I can stop Iran with sanctions? What should I do to make it so? What should I do if he cannot make a certain move economically? This is selling oil. How can I stop the sale of oil? All of these things were paid for, this has been done, and finally China and Iran arrived and said, brother, come for a moment, we want to have a talk. I will pay you an amount, you explain that, we are in the field of circumventing sanctions, and the oil issue, etc. What suggestion can you have for us, to do these things, despite the American sanctions? Behold. How miserable are the Americans. For years, money knows this, that this will also help them, so that they understand these stories. This, too, gave the information to their enemies. Then these unfortunates have been playing every game against Iran for several years, more than 40 years, whether it is Republican or Democrat, the game does not come to a conclusion. Why? I apologize for saying this. Because the most dishonorable are lined up against Iran. The most treacherous and the most cowardly are standing in front of Iran. This is why when he plays, even though he is saturated with information, he has left everything about energy routes at the disposal of Iran. And in the possession of China. They have been trying to start a game against Iran for several years now, it is a bit different. For example, they come and say, so-and-so is a nuclear scientist. Where did they get that information from? Through those who came from the agency to inspect. They communicate with that person, and say, sir, it's a project where we have to take an issue forward and study cooperation. It's in the nuclear field and it's nothing special. They define a project for that person comes forward, and they pay a very high fee, and when he comes forward in the game, they are starting to raise issues related to Iran's nuclear activities. In this game, they are trying to see if they can get a word from that gentleman or not. Many of those who came across this game say, the first moment they described this project, the amount they offered was so much higher than the project that we knew it was a news. That some of them went ahead, realized that this is a spy project, to use this, to bring it into its own honeypot. It's a honeypot. Let him bring this in his honeypot, when he returns, in this honeypot, now, go and use this, get those things that are about Iran, and go forward. This game, now, the Americans believe that it happened against them. And if this is true, we can say, take from Robert Malley to reach this person who is being discussed now. The CIA has faced a very surprising historical challenge against Iran. Wherever you look at this project is moving forward. In the era of Trump, it will reach the peak of evil towards Iran. And it will become an enemy, it will eat in its mouth, and it will go back. Why? At all, the person who works in the field of consulting does not play correctly. One part of it is treason. The traitors of the country will betray wherever they are in the story. He left his country because of betrayal. Others are the same. A part of it, the story is beyond this. Most of those who are working said a very thoughtful thing here. He said, this person's job was to follow up on the sale of weapons to Libya, to the UAE, and to Kenya. Sir, there are think tanks that should help the system make the right decision. Every project they put on the table in the Trump era was an attack on Iran. How is such a thing possible? Because he has his money, he takes it from weapons makers. In the Persian-speaking space, they brought every mercenary in front of the Iranian audience. They put him on Saudi international TV and the like. He is talking about belligerence, and the necessity of attacking Iran. Sir, how is it possible? They are taking their money from the weapons sellers. Armament factories are behind their think tanks. They advise from above, to this, below, someone who plays a role in the Persian-speaking space, plays a role in such and such a place, here and there, in the target community, it is preparing the ground. In order for the country to be hit, the one who came is provoking, and it gives bellicose ideas. Those were the days of the past, I think. The leader of Iran mentioned this in a part of his speech. He said, "What is happening in Ukraine is like this. They got involved in an issue that, a significant part, is the colonial game. Part of it is the game of arms sales companies. The word that, the further we go, the more meaning it has. Let's go to check the rest of the report." Even when there is a discussion about this member of the upper echelon of the American think tank, about Robert Malley, in a more special way, the discussion is still hot in the American media. CNN has published a report in this regard, saying, after the beginning of the security investigation of the U.S. State Department, Robert Malley, he was active in his position for a while, but he was not allowed to access confidential information. Sir, do you understand what happened? A few months ago, they realized that this person had made a very big mistake and had been playing with Iran in the Iran issue. Then they came and said, so that there is no sensitivity, and public opinion is not involved, and no one understands the matter. For now, we keep him in the responsibility he has. At the same time we keep it. We take away access to confidential information from it. Sir, go talk to the Iranians, and here and there, just pay attention, what is he saying? And what does he do? Be under the microscope, his movements, his calls, everything, and we don't give it confidential information either. What will happen? To maintain appearance. If someone looks at it, they say, no. Apparently, nothing special happened here. They kept this game, came forward with this, and finally reached a place that is not possible at all. We can't go forward. And unpaid leave is what they defined for him. And now, the media got involved in this person. A recent statement by the U.S. Special Representative, the person who recently replaced Robert Malley, has been published in the media. In his statement, this person said, the Office of the U.S. Special Representative for Iran Affairs, and all the members of the group in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, are still involved in the implementation of our policy towards Iran. We continue to work with allies and partners to limit Iran's destabilizing behavior. We support human rights, encourage de-escalation, and strive to make West Asia stable, prosperous, and integrated. Brother. The previous one who had come, said the same thing. For 10 years in this story, he went with the Iranians, came and argued, did such and such. Then his elders came and said, you yourself are a mercenary of Iran. America is so dirty, one day, tomorrow, don't come and grab your collar and say, you yourself were a mercenary of Iran. Possible. We wish you success. If you are looking to serve human rights, if you are looking to stop the tension, to make West Asia stable, good luck. It's a very good thing. We wish you success. Robert Malley probably wanted to do this. Then he sat in private and thought and said, well, if I want to do these things, I have to go and cooperate with Iran. We hope there are stories like this for you. I need to share this point with my friends. Sir, have they really played on Iran's field? Or has the other party become sensitive to these? The things that are happening, for example, are due to the sensitivity that has occurred. I really do not know anything. What most of them think now is that, in those years, when Iran was shouting and saying, oh, Dad. So and so was also a spy. This one also worked in their land, that one was also with them. This one, who we let to be the foreign minister, also acts more like the employees of the American think tank who takes their money from them. Sir. All of them, whoever I put at the head of my country, are like American spies. He says, at the same time, Iran was playing this trick. A very clever intrusion has taken place in the structure of the Zionist regime, and in the structure of the United States. Many times, it has been discussed that, for example, Iran has spies in the Zionist regime. I saw that a visitor left a comment and said, sir. For example, you thought that they don't have them. Incidentally, this is the issue. In the situation he was leading this game. Iran is also very colorful, that is, you should pay attention to the media. In a period of time, you feel, very strongly, that all the media in Iran are talking in the same way, As if America has intelligently advanced part of the problem of influence in Iran and continues to do so. What was the story? America would have done something like this. Okay. Definitely, such a thing is not unlikely. Has it been of the same quality? Is it a part of this space creation and did they want it to attract attention? I do not know. That atmosphere that was mounted on space, in Iran. Who had been talking about infiltration for a while, and had been warning about infiltration, and had been bragging about the story a lot. Or was it really of the same quality? But what I understand is this. That these media are telling the truth. At the same time that these words are being said in Iran, Iran has been doing something more special. A task that they have now faced. That if this is true, if the things they say about Robert Malley, because these people are constantly raising ambiguities in order to manage the discussion. One thing, they said recently. They said, he was in contact with 2 Iranian university professors. This is worse, by the way. When you first came in such a situation, you said you want to make a change in the structure. Then the discussion of the FBI came up. And you had to say, no. A case has been made for him, a series of protection things have been revoked, and things like that. Now when he says that he was in contact with 2 university professors in Iran, and wanted to talk, this discussion is raised. Not to mention that the story is much more than that. America was with America itself in order to manage the media, and not to let everyone say that someone was working against Iran in America for 10 years. This seems to be the way you want to manage it in the media. These words, that aside. If you don't manage it, and really, it was only with 2 or 3 university professors, and because of this, you put it together, sent it on leave without pay, and took its reputation everywhere. Another translation is this. From here on, in the American space, all of them who go back and forth with Iranian traitors, want to sit with so-and-so, want to talk with him, want to talk to that one. It can be predictable, for him. He will come to his senses. See, 10 years later, after the services he had with America, he will be accused of collaborating with Iran. Do you know what vortex they are stuck in? I'm saying, look at it from different angles. The more they cover the story of Robert Malley, and this member of the think tank who was arrested, it will have negative consequences for those who want him to serve them in the American structure. This is part of what we needed to explore together tonight. I don't have any other points. If you have any points, please send them in the form of a message. It will help this report to be more complete with your message. Dear friends, I am very sincere. I have a lot of devotion. Have a good time.